and welcome to the What Country Is podcast with Sarah Pierson. I am Sara Pierson. I continue to be her forever and for always, as the Shania Twain song says. Happy Friday, guys. How are you doing this week? I want to know. I want more communication as I am continuously more lonely every day. But I've had fun talking with you guys on Instagram, doing my polls and questions. And again, just thank you so much for participating in those. It definitely adds a new dimension to this podcast. As you can see, this week I got a windscreen for my microphone. So I apologize to basically everyone who listened to the last week's podcast. The audio quality might have been better, but was it worth the pops and the S's and the terribleness of the quality of that? So I apologize. I've tried to make it better by getting this beautiful windscreen. That does not actually make this microphone any prettier, but I sacrifice beauty for function. Obviously, look at me. Oh my goodness. A little life update. This week has been incredibly stressful, and I don't want to disclose why just yet. I think I can get into it more next week. So stay tuned for maybe great news, maybe really sad news. But I thought I'd take this time, instead of sharing with you what would be the stress of my life, I'm going to tell you a little story. Once again, I was at the park, as I do every day. And I was driving, and I would say that I'm not a speeder. I have received one speeding ticket in my life, and I got it resolved. And so technically, no speeding tickets on my record. But I'm a good driver. I'm just not always a thoughtful driver. And so I drive to the park where I go, and there's a turn onto a 30-mile-an-hour road. And then there's the entrance attached to it. So I turn onto this road, and it was kind of a rolling stop. I would say that I stopped and just kept, yeah, it was a rolling stop. I'm not going to tell you it wasn't, okay? And so I turned onto this road, and I'm going 35, between 35 and 40. And so, not great. Not a great setup for myself between the rolling stop and the kind of speeding. And so I am just cruising along, and I look in my rear view, and there is a cop car. And I got a little nervous, but the lights weren't on, but he was on my tail. Like, if I had stopped suddenly, he would have totally crashed into me. And so I thought it was really weird. I was like, is he pulling me over? What is he doing? Is he trying to get somewhere? And so, the turn in, like the entrance into the park was just like a few hundred feet, ahead of me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to turn into the park. And if he turns in with me, and I'll pull over, and, I'll deal with whatever that is. But if I turn in and he doesn't follow me, then I'm good. And so I turn in, and he doesn't follow me. And I was like, cool. I don't really know why he was, riding my butt, but whatever. And so I go on my walk and whatever. And the loop I go on, it kind of like goes into the woods, and then the parking lot, you come out on the other side out of the woods. And so I'm coming out of the woods, and I usually like pop my headphones in, and I, have a conversation with my mom or my friend or whoever I'm, want to talk to that morning. And I pop out, and I'm talking to my mom, and I just see like 7 cop cars in the parking lot, and then another cop car in the lower parking lot, and then there's like this little alcove, and there's 2 in there. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I swear. I was like, they're definitely not looking for me. I don't think. I do have New York plates at the moment, but I don't think they're looking for me. And if they were, they're looking in the wrong place, because I did not park in any of those places. And so I am just kind of like looking around, and I thought of 2 things. These are the first 2 things that popped in my head. I said, either they have found a dead body, in which case Absolutely terrifying. I'm so glad I didn't see that. Or two, they are looking for someone or something, and that is almost equally, if not more stressful, because I'm just walking out there all by myself, out with a murderer, perhaps. And so I'm walking and I'm watching them, but you would think that if they were looking for someone or investigating a murder, that they would be talking to the people at the park, but no, they were just talking to each other, like just hanging out by their cars. What? I'm just very confused. Was it like, you know, cop? Oh God, I can't even talk. I was just like so shocked by this. Is it like cops go to the park day, you know, enjoy your lunch at the park, cops? Or like I just had no idea what was going on and I still don't know, so I'll try to keep you updated. If I find out what they were doing there, I will do my best to eh, finish the story. I don't think I'll ever know. It was something that I thought about a lot while I was witnessing it. I was like, man, if this was my hometown, I would know every detail. I would know the names and the exact events that went down and what's going to happen. Um, and that would all just be on Facebook. Small town life has its perks where you're able to find out things relatively quickly. Now that I live in Memphis, a big city, I just never know what's going on. I suppose I should watch the news, but even that, that's very specific. I just want to know more about that specific incident. I don't really care about other incidents that are occurring. So I'll try to keep you updated on this whole what the cops are looking for if they found a dead body. I have been walking since and I haven't found any dead bodies. The only thing that I did find to be very strange was this. I've been walking there for about a month and a half and I had never seen any wildlife other than the horses that are at the horse barn and the bison that are in like the bison range. But that day, I saw two deer sprinting through the woods. And I am not unfamiliar with deer. We have a lot of deer where I'm from, but it looked like they were being chased by something. Perhaps the cops are looking for a monster, or I've been watching too much Supernatural. Who's to say? I'm not quite sure. So I'll keep you updated. I'll let you know if there's like a Bigfoot on the loose or what have you. Man, but that was my story. That was like the beginning of my week. So obviously a lot has happened since then. But you know what did happen at the beginning? I guess at the end of last week, the beginning of this week was the ACM Awards, which stands for, if I got this right, Academy Country Music Awards. I should know it, and I should have written it down, but nah, I'm gonna test my memory from reading. Basically, if you're unfamiliar, it is where a group of people tell me what the best country music is and who the best country artists are. Mm, based off of a scale that I'm not quite like I don't think I understand correctly because a few months back, maybe like a month ago, I don't know, I made my prediction for Entertainer of the Year at this awards show. And I did it based on their criteria. Like I went onto their website and I looked at everything that they grade upon. And I made my own number system and I decided based on those, I did a lot of research and I found that my entertainer of the year, the one of based off of their criteria, it should have been Luke Combs. Now, for those who watched it, you will know that it was not Luke Combs, but the other Luke Bryan, who, according to my math, when I did it, finished like a low second place. He was tied with Chris Stapleton, which, I didn't think Chris Stapleton was going to win it. So I suppose that I guess if Luke Combs didn't win it, Luke Bryan should have won it. I just don't agree. I think if they were truly basing it off the criteria that they have set for these categories, that Luke Combs should have won. Just saying. Just throwing it out there. But we're going to go over some of the results. And I'm going to give you my vote. So I'll give you who won. And then, some of these I agree with. And then some of them I have opinions about and I disagree with. And I'll give you who I wanted to win. So first off, as I talked about, Entertainer of the Year. Luke Bryan won, and I wanted Luke Combs to win. I just think, Luke Bryan does not contribute anything that is more unique than the last thing that he's done. And I want to say this is pretty standard for all of the male artists that were uh, nominated for this category. I would say that Chris Stapleton has a pretty unique sound differing from like each album. So from album to album, it's pretty unique. Luke Combs, I feel, has a very unique sound in today's music that he kind of has started, but I wouldn't say that his sound varies from album to album. I think Luke Combs should have won. I think his fan base is growing at a rapid rate and he is putting out content all the time. And so he's definitely contributed a lot to country music in the last few years, especially in 2020. So I was a little, disappointed, but, it is what it is. The next one was Female Artist of the Year. And the winner was Maren Morris, which was not a surprise. I kind of expected it. I think Maren Morris is the country music sweetheart, as she can easily cross over into pop and be exceptionally popular in both genres. And so, yeah, it was not a surprise. I wanted Ashley McBryde to win. I think she has a very unique country or uniquely country sound as opposed to Maren. You would not be able to mistake her as any other artist in country. So, and I think she's doing a lot of great things as a female country artist to improve the genre. So that would have been my vote. I prefer, closer to home country than could be pop, could be country artist. And then after that was the male artist of the year. And again, the winner of that was Thomas Rhett, and he was nominated for Entertainer of the Year. And I was kind of surprised that I'm assuming that Luke Combs was not a part of like the running basically, and it was probably between Luke Bryan and Thomas Rhett. And so Thomas Rhett won artist or male artist of the year, and I'm trying to think of the things he's done. He did a Christmas special. I remember that. But, I wanted someone who was doing a lot of things, and I think that person was Eric Church. And I'm coming from a place where at the beginning of the year, I was not a fan of Eric Church, and I had never been a fan of Eric Church. But now that I've gotten to hear more of his sounds and something more raw, I watched a video where he performed like a set for like a virtual stagecoach, and I really enjoyed it. And this new album that he just released I've been listening to it nonstop. So I've really enjoyed getting to know Eric Church more. And was consistently releasing singles in 2020. So I would have voted for Eric Church if I was on the Academy. And after that, this one was 100% totally expected, is Duo of the Year with Dan and Shay. And I think it's pretty safe to say that they will win Duo of the Year until, some other fantastic, singing duo comes cruising in. I mean, Shay's voice is just incredible, but they would not be my first pick. In this category, I want to say that 4 of the nominees were male groups, and then only one was a female group. And that one female group was Maddie and Tay. And I have been a Maddie and Tay fan for a really long time. And I think that they deserve a really awesome award for being a girl duo group. Their songs are really good. They're quite high production, more production than I would prefer, but I think their voices are really strong together, and I think they have a lot of great material that is like equally as serious but also kind of funny and quirky, which is what I like about country music. I tend to like the more funny, upbeat songs. So I would have voted for Maddie and Tay, but honestly, Dan and Shay as a pop country group, their music's always consistently really good, so I can't hate on them too much. The next one is Group of the Year. And I don't really listen to a lot of groups, but the winner of this category was Old Dominion. And I agree. I like Old Dominion. Again, pop country at its finest, but they really know how to put on a show and they release great music, consistently. So no issues there. I love Old Dominion. The next one after that is New Female Artist of the Year. And for that category was Gabby Barrett. She was on, I believe, American Idol. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really watch American Idol. But I would agree. She, I would say, has the potential to be the next Carrie Underwood if she chose to be. She's got an incredibly powerhouse voice that can carry her really far if she treats it well, which, I'm hoping that these country artists that are belting at the top of their ranges are taking care of their voices because I would love to keep hearing them for the rest of time. After that was New Male Artist of the Year, and that went to Jimmy Allen. And I think I could tell you one song by Jimmy Allen. There are more people on that list that I could name more songs and I could name more parts of their career. And so my vote would have gone to Cody Johnson. As you know, if you have been listening to the podcast for a few weeks, I am super into Cody Johnson. I really respect his songwriting, and he's a vocal genius. He's got a great voice. So, I will never ever stop talking about how much I like Cody Johnson. And so I think he should have won. I think he doesn't have the numbers exactly, but I think he is a great representation of what country music is going into and what it's turning into. I think the genre is kind of taking a big old split into a more traditional sound versus a more modern pop sound. And Cody Johnson's definitely taking the reins on the more traditional side. So I would have voted for Cody Johnson. The next one was Album of the Year, and it was Starting Over by Chris Stapleton. And I love Chris Stapleton, and I liked this album. I hadn't listened to a lot of albums in 2020, but I did listen to this one, and so I really enjoyed it. And you can't really go wrong with Chris Stapleton, so he has my vote all the way. After that was Single of the Year, and the one that won was I Hope You're Happy Now by Carly Pearce and Lee Brice. And to be honest, I don't think the songs that were nominated were like the best songs of 2020. But out of the ones that were nominated, this one was definitely the best. I think that Carly Pearce has a very unique voice. Sometimes I don't really love it, but I've been listening to her album 29 a lot recently, and I've been trying to get to know her voice a little bit more, and it's kind of growing on me. And then Lee Brice in this song, he just kills it. He just really gets up into his higher range and belts it, and it sounds awesome. So it was a great duet, and I do think that out of all the songs that were in it, they probably deserve it. And then the last one was Song of the Year. And that went to Maren Morris's The Bones. And that, I want to say, I'm pretty sure did really well on the pop charts and on pop radio, and that made it weasel its way to the top. And so I'm not surprised at all that that made it to the top of the nominations list. I would have gone with Bluebird by Miranda Lambert. I found myself listening to that one a lot. I've always had a love-hate relationship with Miranda Lambert where I think in the past I didn't really like her, her person, but I really liked her music, and now she's starting to grow on me a little bit more as a person. So I continue to like her music, and I am starting to like her even more now because she's doing a lot of cool stuff that I'm excited to listen to. So I think that wraps up the ACM Awards, I believe. I think I have touched I didn't talk about songwriters, just because, I don't like to be too critical about songwriting. Songwriting is such like a personal thing, and I'd rather just talk about the artists who sing them. So, if you want to hear more about songwriting and stuff like that, let me know. I can dedicate more time to it. Um, I really appreciate songwriters, and I just don't think it's such a unique thing, and songs are kind of hard to pin down as good or bad. So I I chose not to do songwriters. So maybe we can talk about them in the future. Now we're moving on to what I've been listening to this week. I think we all know that Cody Johnson's definitely been in the mix, but I did add some new stuff. So I brought in some Eric Church. Like I said before, I listened to his album Heart, and it's great. I don't think to be honest with you, I've ever sat down and just listened to an Eric Church album. To be honest, up until like halfway through 2020, I didn't really listen to Eric Church at all. I knew some of his hits, but they just like didn't make their way into my listening. But this album, I've definitely have a newfound respect for Eric Church, and I would really suggest you guys go listen to it. Um, I would say that like I'm pretty rare when it comes to country music fans where I didn't like Eric Church. So I'm probably telling you something that you already knew about someone you already love, but I would recommend this album. If you're not an Eric Church fan like I was, I guess I think that's grammatically correct. Uh, I think you'll enjoy this album because it definitely is really strong. So go check it out. The next thing that I've been listening to, kind of correlating with the amount of Supernatural I'm watching, I found this playlist on Spotify that has every song that it was ever played in Supernatural on it, and which is just like classic rock. And I've been kind of playing that nonstop while I drive the car. I'm just like, I am in the Impala. So I would suggest go checking that out. I don't know what it's called exactly. I think it's just called like a Supernatural playlist or Supernatural playlist. But if you guys like Supernatural, you should go check it out. The last thing that I've been listening to is the country mix made for me, which Spotify knows me so well. I've been using it for a lot of years now, and they just get me, They play the best new music that they think I'm gonna like, and it kind of gets me excited because I don't tend to go venturing out into new music that often. When I am like sitting, working, like writing out what I'm going to talk about in my podcast, or looking for jobs, or writing, I love to listen to new music so it doesn't distract me too much. But every once in a while, I'll hear a song and it'll like catch my ear while that's how I know it's a good song, is if it catches my ear while I'm just not paying attention at all and I get sucked in, then I know. Like there's I've talked about this with like a few other people. There is nothing like the feeling of discovering your new favorite song. And eventually that fades away. So like you can listen to this new favorite song a gajillion times, and then it soon becomes not your favorite song anymore, and it's like a really sad thing. But hopefully soon after you discover a new favorite song, and so it's kind of like a fun cycle that you're like you fall in love with a new song, and then you fall out of love, but then you find something new, and so there's nothing quite like, finding that new song. So I'm always excited to find new music, even though I am kind of stuck in my ways. So that's kind of fun. So I hope that you guys are enlightened by my new music listening. And you can guys go check it out on my Spotify. I have a ton of playlists. My friend Liz and I, shout out to Liz Olmstead, we make or we have made a huge playlist called the Country Sing Along playlist. And you can go find it on Spotify under my name, Sarah Rose P21, I believe. Yeah, I think that's what my my username is. Yeah, and you can go listen to that. It's got old music, it's got new music. I throw stuff on there, she throws stuff on there, and it's a great car jam. If you put it on in the car, you could drive for hours. I do believe it is hours worth of music, so go wild, go listen to it. If you want to jam out with Liz and I on the weekends, then maybe we can set up a party, set up a listening party, and just jam out. Last thing on my agenda. Whew, we've made it. It's the Instagram polls, baby. I do this every week. It is so much fun to interact with you guys. I am constantly amazed at what you guys will respond with or what you choose and who participates, because I get to see those kinds of things too. So I'm always super excited every week to do a new poll, and I will try to continue to be more creative about the the things I'm asking you. But this week because of the ACM Awards, I feel like they kind of exclude the subgenres in country music that I think a lot of people enjoy. So I asked you guys to tell me what your favorite subgenres are in country music, or what you would listen to in country music. And I kind of did it in a poll style where I I pinned, like, what's the word I'm looking for? I put them against each other, I guess, in a battle to the death. And so the first one was country rap versus honky tonk, and 71% of people voted honky tonk. And I was like really kind of nervous, because I was like, oh no, like, do people like country rap? Because it was winning in the beginning. But then I was like, I don't think they do. I think that I obviously people do like it because 29% of the voters voted for it. But I'm glad to see that honky tonk won, just because I'm a honky tonk fan, and I'm not like a huge country rap fan. I could be into it. I did research for these things to make sure I knew what type of country I was getting into and what I was looking for. Um, and so there was some country rap that I liked, but consistently honky tonk is where I'm at. After that, there was Red Dirt versus Western, and these I would say are not exactly similar. I but I think they could be confused for one another. Red Dirt won with 59%, and then Western had 41%. I The Red Dirt scene is more in Texas, and so I'm into more of that sound recently. So I probably would have voted Red Dirt. I like Cody Johnson, Turnpike Troubadours, all that good stuff. But Western is kind of that croony, riding on your horse type of music that I also really like too. So it was tough for me to choose, and obviously it was kind of a close call, but Red Dirt would have been my vote too. So I'm glad we're all on the same page so far. Next was traditional versus bluegrass country, and I when I was picking these subgenres, I wanted to pick. I think the thing I was struggling with was finding mm, subgenres, or like the country songs that were influenced by the other genre. And so instead of like the other way around, so like I wasn't putting, you know, traditional against bluegrass, because bluegrass is like a totally different genre. I was putting it against like the genre, or the pairing of country and bluegrass. It was kind of complicated, but so traditional got 47%, which I like more traditional, and I think it was hard to gauge what I was talking about. I tried to put a few examples, but traditional is like Alan Jackson and George Strait and Garth Brooks and that kind of sound. And so I kind of prefer that. I do love bluegrass country. As an example, I had put Tortured Tangled Hearts by the Chicks. But, 53% of people voted for bluegrass country. And I think that is awesome. I would not have expected that. But I guess I did put it against traditional, which is not everyone's favorite either. So I probably would have voted traditional, but I can see why you guys would love bluegrass country as well. After that was a kind of a fun one, which was boyfriend country versus gothic country. And then I had a flood of people asking me what gothic country was, and I don't I didn't really know what it was. When I was doing this, I was just like looking at a list of all the different kinds of subgenres and I thought people would listen to. And kind of gothic kind of stood out as something that people kind of might be into. And then I listened to it and I was like, there's definitely a kind of person who would listen to this. It is not me though. And so if I had to choose between boyfriend country and gothic, I would have chose boyfriend country, which is like Dan and Shay and that kind of pop, kind of cutesy sound. And 71% of you agreed with me, but I do think after that, a lot of people went to go check out some gothic country music. So we'll see how those numbers do in the future. After that, this is the last one, which was bro country versus outlaw country. And bro country, I think we're all pretty familiar with. I think that's the country music generally everyone hates. I don't hate it. I think there is some good bro country. Oh gosh, I can't speak bro country out there, but outlaw country, I think, is the country a lot of people associate with is like being kind of more gritty and like southern rock esque. And I've always really enjoyed outlaw country and I'm kind of more into it recently. So I probably would have voted for outlaw, and 67% of the voters agreed with me. So I was like really excited to see those opinions on country subgenres, because I do think they're undervalued at award shows. And obviously, award shows are just not the end all be all for country music, because, there are country artists out there that, do awesome things and make awesome music and will never win an award ever in their whole life because they don't fit the whatever the freaking the award shows are looking for. Because obviously, even though I took into consideration all of the things that they're looking for in Entertainer of the Year, I did not get the right answer. I mean, I could have told you that it was gonna be Luke Bryan, but based off of the research that I did and all of the numbers and the things I felt as a country fan in country music, I ended up wrong. So, I like exploring these topics. I like seeing what you guys like listening to as country fans and also not as country fans. And then lastly, after my poll, I put up a little questions box and I said, give me the genres that you listen to, or the subgenres that you listen to that I did not mention. And I don't know. I didn't really explain it in the poll, so I understand why people would put these things. But so I had like things like country folk, and I didn't put country folk in because I feel like folk is too close to country. Like there's some differences, um but in my brain. They're just like really close together. And so I just keep them separate as much as possible. And then we had Americana, which again, I mm, I'm not too sure. I like to keep that kind of separated too. I think the subgenres that I obviously identified were genres that were definitely really different from country music. So I didn't want to do anything too close. I think the closest one I got was bluegrass, but I think bluegrass again has a really distinctive sound from actual true blue country music. So, I that's why I chose what I chose. And you know, and the other one was line dancing. And line dancing I would, put under more traditional and honky tonk perhaps. So, yeah, I really appreciated your responses and I love talking about them. I love getting to know you guys as country music fans and or not country music fans and seeing what your opinions are about it. And to be honest, I think most of you that go through these just like to vote on things, which is awesome. I'm like really excited that you chose my things to vote on. And so I think that's all I've got this week. Like I said, next week I'm going to have hopefully a lot of stuff to talk about regarding country music and some new life updates. And I'm going to continue to listen to more new stuff to suggest to you guys. I want to do a podcast about the like music country music artists that are advertised to me on social media. So I constantly get like advertisements for new artists all the time on my Instagram and on my Facebook. And so I want to kind of just jump in and talk about those things maybe next week. I also just want to, get into the nitty-gritty of country music as per usual. So next week I'll see you. I this I don't really know where I'm going with this. I'm kind of rambling. It's been one of those weeks, guys. I say that every week, but it's been one of those weeks. All right, I'll see you guys next Friday and I'll talk to you then. Have a great week. Have the great rest of your Friday and I will talk to you next week. Bye.